Hey guys, Austin Cabot here. We're out at Formula Drift here at Road Atlanta with Dirk Stratton, who is making his Formula Drift debut here in this C6 Corvette. So what's going on, Dirk?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Dirk. Just here running Pro 2. It's first event, first time at FD, and just having a good time. Happy to be here. We ended up qualifying 16th, but we're happy we're in the show. We're gonna
congrats on that, by the way.
Today. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yep.
So super stoked for you, man. Making the debut, qualified. So just rocking it this weekend, man.
Yep. Car's still together. It's running great. So we're just gonna try to put on a good show today and have fun.
Yeah. Now you're from Beloit, Ohio, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's kind of a small town, somewhat near Youngstown, but we're in the middle of cornfields, and it's just really laid back. So.
Yeah. So how does a kid from Beloit, Ohio, get into drifting? Especially being out in the country.
Yeah.
You start with like a tractor or something.
Well, yeah, we have like a track pit race. It's like an hour away from us.
Yeah.
So I'm there for a motorcycle racing event just to watch, and there happens to be drifting over on the skid pad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I went over there. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go check this out. So I'm checking it out, and I'm checking out this guy's V8 Corolla, and he's like, you got to go for a ride. I'm like, all right, cool. Takes me for a ride. I was hooked from there, and I knew I had to get into it. So some time went by, and I ended up meeting a buddy of mine now through our dealership, our Chevy dealership, and so I ended up going to some events with him because he had a 240 and everything. And
okay.
He took me for a ride again, and he's like, man, you got to drive my car. He knew I could drive, and he knew, kind of my background anyway, so he trusted me.
What is your background, by the way?
Pretty much just, I'm a car guy through and through, and I used to do a lot of drag racing and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I started getting into doing some track days and autocross and stuff like that, and him and I had gone to some track days together.
Oh, nice.
And drove together. So, he knew that I could drive.
Right.
I have a Chevy Sonic.
Oh, cool.
That's on coilovers and has a whole bunch of stuff done to it. And I would just basically drive the crap out of it and pass guys in cars that should be way faster.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, and basically that's how I got into it. And
okay.
I knew I ended up getting my own car.
Okay.
Then I got a 1990 Nissan 240, an S13, in 2012. And then the whole 2013 season, I ran that with an SR.
Okay.
And learned how to drift with that. Really basic setup, nothing crazy. Just your normal coilovers and all that stuff, and learned. And basically from there, I decided I really liked doing it, and I wanted more torque, so I ended up LS swapping it.
Okay.
With a 5.3 from a Silverado that we had laying around, at the dealership. So did all that and got comfortable in that car, added steering angle and everything, and really just had a good time with that. And so that was the whole 2014 season, and that's when I first did a couple competitions.
Okay.
So I went to do the Midwest Drift Union Streets of Detroit event, which is really neat. It's held on the streets. They block the road off.
Was that at Belle Isle with during the race event, or?
No, it's usually during the Woodward Dream Cruise.
Okay.
And it's right in front of the abandoned train station.
Oh, nice.
So it's a sweet background too. They blocked the streets off there, and that was my first ever competition. And from there, it's been a huge learning curve of just figuring out how everything works, in competition. And so then, basically, I ran LS Fest that year too. I ended up placing third at LS Fest with the 240.
Oh,
and
nice.
So it was really, really good, neat. And there's some pro guys that go to that event just to learn, different techniques and stuff. Is really cool. And so then we decided we're going to do a full competition season in 2015 of Midwest Drift Union. And it was actually my dad's idea to, you need to build a Chevy. It just makes sense with our Chevy dealership.
Right.
And we've always had nothing but Chevrolets.
Yeah.
So.
And your Sonic probably wasn't really good for drifting,
no,
right?
not at all. Front wheel drive, and that wasn't going to work at all. So we started searching for something, and I was going to go with a Camaro or something like that, but they're a bit heavy and still expensive, like a 5th gen. So we ended up finding this car. and it actually has a salvage title.
Okay.
And it was wrecked when I got it. And so we got a good deal on it, fixed everything, and started building from there. So the main things we knew we had to do, we didn't want to overbuild it. It started out as an LS3 car.
Right.
So a buddy of mine who's an awesome fabricator, he's here on my team today too, helping out. He built the roll cage, and we built a custom steering angle setup because we knew we were going to need that.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Like, what was involved in that? Because it's not like there's hardly anybody. Well, I guess nobody's really drifting Corvettes.
No, not really.
So,
there's been a few here and there, but there's none right now.
Yeah.
So we pretty much didn't have anything to go off of. Kind of just, well, let's try this and see if it works. We didn't really know. Ended up working really well. But basically what we did was just kind of look at a lot of different cars, like pictures and everything, and look at them in person and where they put the tie rod and everything like that. So he made these brackets that basically had a bunch of holes in them to test different locations, and we picked one that we thought was the best. And then he made actual brackets that bolt to the factory spindle, and we did no cutting on the spindle at all. They bolt there, made custom outer tie rods, and the rest of it is basically clearancing to clearance the wheel.
Okay.
So you got to space the wheel out really far.
Yeah, I noticed you had a decent sized spacer up there.
Yeah, big spacer. You got to have the right wheel offset. This car has Z06 fenders, but it's only a 9-inch wide front wheel. A lot of guys, Z06 cars run, 11, 12-inch wide wheels.
Right.
So to get that extra clearance, we don't want to run a really wide wheel. And then for this year, we stepped it up, and he actually made tubular lower control arms.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, to get even more tire clearance.
Nice.
So they're chromoly, and they're working out well so far. Right now, we're having a slight bit of an issue with the steering rack itself.
Okay.
But we're sorting through it.
Still the factory rack in there?
Yeah, actually, right now we had to replace the rack. So we didn't have time to get a GM one because there wasn't one anywhere close by. So we ended up getting a parts store one replacement. So it's not quite as tight as the GM one was.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a GM one after this event, but it's working for now. But it's just those things you got to sort through that you don't really expect to happen.
Yeah, just those teething pains, man.
Yep, exactly.
So how did you make the transition, from doing track days and stuff into drifting?
Well,
because they're somewhat similar, but they're obviously very different disciplines.
Very different. And at first, when I first started drifting, I was kind of doing both at the same time.
Okay.
Which is really interesting because you have to take a totally different mindset on how you drive. So basically, it definitely takes a few laps to kind of get used to what you're doing. Get your mindset back in the groove,
right,
if you will. So the transition basically was I wanted to be drifting, but it just kind of worked out to, let's get just some drive time in something other than going straight. You know what I mean? So I think that was a really good experience just to, wheel a car hard, because that's what you have to do in drifting.
Right.
There's no other way to put it. And you're going out and you're going to beat the snot out of the car. So that's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a good experience to kind of get you prepared for that, I will say. And then basically it was just finding the right car, the right deal on the right car to get started. So
awesome. So now obviously, the car's kind of, been built up.
Yeah.
And you actually have a Lingenfelter motor in it now.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us a little bit about that and kind of how that relationship came up?
Yeah. So coming into this year, we were pretty comfortable with the car, how it was, but I definitely wanted more power and to have a very reliable setup. So we kind of made the decision to come run the Formula Drift Pro 2 circuit, and we're still running a Formula Drift Pro Am circuit as well.
Okay.
It's just extra practice and good for it. So basically, I went to the SEMA show and I ended up, I'm kind of brainstorming on what engine am I going to run. Am I going to supercharge it? Am I going to turbocharge it, put nitrous on it? Or, I'd love to build a motor, but I wasn't really sure. So I ended up going to the Lingenfelter booth and I met with Jay Rohrbach, and we kind of just started talking, and I told him what I was doing, and he's like, yeah, we haven't really been into drifting, but we'd love to get into it. And we're happy to build a motor and work with you and, try to figure out what'll work the best.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely did a lot of research before building the engine to try to make it as reliable as possible and have really good torque mid-range to be able to pull through RPMs from 3,000 to 7,000, without having an issue.
Right.
So the main thing too is with the reliability of it. Just to have that package, that's going to be there and run solid. You're not going to be dealing with, issues with a turbo or valve springs or whatever.
Yeah. It's really cool to walk through the pits here. Your hood's closed. Doesn't look like the motor needs a whole lot of work at all.
No.
Meanwhile, you walk around the pits and everybody else has the hoods open and tweaking stuff, having to fix things.
Yep. So it's definitely a reliable setup.
Yeah. What is the setup now?
Basically, it's a LS7 427. And it's got diamond pistons, Oliver rods, and a Callie's crank. So it's all forged, solid. And the Lingenfelter has their GT19 cam in there, and their CNC ported heads. And we run a MSD intake manifold on it. It's a little over 13-to-1 compression.
Okay.
We run Ignite 114 ethanol.
There you go.
So yeah. They thought about going a little bit higher compression, but they didn't want the heat. So basically running a little bit less compression, but still high enough to get the power.
Right.
Keeps it more reliable.
Yeah.
So in this thing, if I'm waiting in line idling, it gets up to like 180. Make a run, it's 170.
Oh, nice.
Just it never gets hot at all. So it's a really reliable package, and they made everything in there, in the top end as lightweight as possible. Titanium, springs, retainers, valves, just to make it rev easy. So it just helps out with that whole mid-range power pulling through from 3,000 to 7,000 without having an issue.
Okay, awesome.
So,
what kind of power is it making?
It made 681 on the engine dyno at the crank.
Is that running the Ignite?
Yeah, that was actually on pump E85.
Okay.
Or maybe they had race E85, but it was E85. The 114 Ignite they call it a 114, but it's like an E98.
Okay.
So to the wheels, it made 575 on Lingenfelter's dyno. So
okay. Awesome.
So yeah.
So now, going from the 240 to this and having that big jump in power, especially with the Lingenfelter built motor.
Yeah.
I mean, is it easier to drift?
I would say it's not easier, but it's close to the same, really. The difference is in the chassis. This car has way more grip than the 240. With the 50-50 weight distribution of the transmission being in the back, it's definitely quick. You got to be on it. You point and shoot, basically. You got to be really quick on it. It's just a different car, but it's actually been a really nice transition as far as power goes, because with the 240, I started with like 200 horsepower, and I went up to probably maybe 375, and then I went to like 475, now 575. So it's been like a 100 horsepower increase every time, basically, and it makes it not too terrible to get used to. It's not like going from 400 to 800 or whatever. So,
yeah.
So it's been a nice power learning curve.
Okay.
Not drastic.
Yeah.
So.
Now, how long have you been drifting this particular Corvette?
This car we brought out last year, so 2015 probably. Okay. It hasn't even been a year.
Okay.
So it was like June or July, maybe July, when we first brought the car out, and we didn't even know if it was going to work, to be honest. There wasn't really anybody to go off of.
Yeah.
Our parts are all, we made it all. So we went out and tested one time before competition, and it worked awesome. So we were all stoked on, just the car working, and it was a big relief from there. So from there, it's just been a really big learning curve of fine-tuning everything, and we are still definitely learning all the ins and outs of the car.
Yeah.
So
awesome. What are most people's reactions when they, Especially, I've seen a bunch of people walking by here today.
People are just shocked to see a Corvette doing this. They see it and they're like, are you here to drift, or is this a show car, or are you road racing it, or what are you doing? And I'm like, no, it's a dedicated drift car, and people just get really surprised by it. it's just so different from every other car. I mean, obviously, it's the only one here. You know, you mostly see all the import cars and a Mustang here or there, a few Camaros or whatever, but it's just so different. You know, everybody kind of just has that shocked feeling. You know?
Yeah.
So, yep.
And I'm sure you didn't even like mean for that to happen. It just kind of happened naturally. Yeah.
Yep. It's just kind of what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do something different, and we thought it would be a good chassis for it. So it's working out well so far. It catches a lot of attention. So
yeah. Now, you know, this is your first time here to Road Atlanta. What do you think of the course? I know, you know, we were talking a little bit. You got a couple runs yesterday during qualifying.
Yeah, this course is very intense. I'm still learning it. I wish I had a little more time on track to be able to learn it a little better, but we have another practice session today, and I'm really going to try to hone in on that entry. You know, coming down that big hill. And
it's fast, isn't it?
Oh, it's fast, and you're almost a 90-degree left turn, or you're in the the gravel. So
yeah.
It's definitely an intense track. It's cool. I like a challenge, so it's really it's all just mentally for me overcoming that challenge, and it really feels great when you can do that. You know, for yourself, whether you win, lose, whatever. Just conquering the track and putting on a good show is what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun for me. So just overcoming that challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, this venue, it's one of the more unique venues in the country.
Yeah.
And it's really cool coming down like 10A, like we were talking earlier, and the crowd is there.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome.
It almost just opens up. You're in this, hole almost, and everybody's just around you. The way it's set up. So it's definitely exciting. So
yeah.
I'm excited for the top 16 ceremony too, and go out on track. You know, it gets everybody hyped up.
Yeah. So I know you're gonna bring it out to Grid Life too, right? In June.
Yep.
That'll be awesome.
I'm excited for that too. I'll be out there. I've never driven that track either. Everybody says it's awesome. So.
Yeah, I think they drift the full track there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
So, well, we wish you the best this season.
Thanks.
Where can people find out more about you and about Lingenfelter?
Lingenfelter's website. I think they're going to put maybe a page or a blog on there for this.
Yeah, we'll put the links in that too.
Yeah. So, and then our website's strattonchevrolet.com. There's actually a page on there that has stuff to do with me on there, links and videos and pictures. So right off the homepage there, you can get to it. So that's pretty much it. And my Instagram is at Dirk Stratton.
Okay. So, underscore though, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Dirk,
that's what Dirk. Yeah, it's right back there.
Yep. Dirk _ Stratton. So I post on there quite a bit. So try to promote on there and everything. So
awesome. Now, what's the rest of the season look like for you?
The rest of the season, we're gonna do Grid Life. We're doing all the Midwest Drift Union events. So their website is mdudrift.com. And their schedule's on there and everything. And so we're doing at least Orlando for Formula Drift Pro 2.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes there. And from there is Texas and Arizona. So we'll kind of make the call after Orlando and see what we're going to do there. So
awesome. Well, Dirk's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. So wish you the best of luck in the 2016 season here.
Yep.
And hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Dirk.
Yep.